Okay, I'm just finishing up installing these doors. I'm getting ready to build the last set. But before I do that, let's talk about all these moldings. Now, for me, I do this for a living, and moldings are one of my best opportunities to really show off, to separate myself from the competition. If you're doing this for fun, it's still a great way to really impress your significant other and your neighbors. And there's a lot of different things going on here, but moldings can really give you the opportunity to kind of turn something that might be a little bit of a challenge into a feature. A great example is, if you'll remember, we had this split style right here, and that could be a little bit of a problem until we have the opportunity to put this molding over the top of it. We've covered that joint, and it's given us a great highlight for the cabinet. Now, part of it, though, is this base and capital detail. That's one of the things that takes it kind of up to the next level. There are all kinds of these base and capital pieces that are carved and expensive things you can buy, and sometimes I use those. But what I did here was made my own out of some small pieces of molding, and an added benefit can be that this could be some molding that was just little scraps that we might be going to throw away anyhow. So what we did to start out with is we took a block of wood that was the same height as our molding and cut it. Now, the reason that we want to do that, this is a piece of the molding, and if we just ran this molding over it, and I'll turn this around so you can see, that's not real good looking right there. But if we put this block underneath it and then run the molding over it, that's a lot better look, a lot more finished. So we've got our block of wood, and then we're just going to take these moldings and miter it around it. And what that does is it gives you that outside corner. If I can get it all to go together here. It's a lot easier when they're nailed. And an outside corner is when you really see the beauty of a piece of trim. Now, we had to do the same thing about 10 times, once at the bottom and once at the top. So we set up our saw, and you know, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. We set up our saw, and we had a very accurate stop system. We made repetitive cuts, very, very careful and focused while we did that. But then once we were through cutting, everything went together real easily. And that's just so important. If you can get clean, accurate cuts, then you're going to end up with great results. And in the end, you're going to save yourself time fitting everything together. Now, down at the bottom, I did a little bit of a different detail. We made a plinth block. Now, it would have been possible to go ahead and put a block of wood that was the same height as the baseboard and miter the baseboard out around this lower pilaster, but that would have taken a lot of work. Sometimes we'll do that, but for this project, what we chose to do instead is just make this plinth block. And all the plinth block is a piece of wood that's a little bit thicker than this pilaster piece, and the pilaster piece sets down on top of it, and then the baseboard can butt into the side of it. Saves you quite a bit of work. Now, a couple things you do need to think about. The plinth block should always be at least an inch taller than it is wide, but also it needs to be, at least a half an inch to an inch taller than the baseboard. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm pretty passionate about molding, but I think it can really make the difference in how the finished product looks. It can turn what's a good-looking cabinet into something that's absolutely exceptional. For me, that can make the difference between getting the job and not, and for anybody else, it can just make it to where you have real bragging rights. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this material, don't forget to like and subscribe.